This is as good a day as any to start the rebuilding of life. The roads that lay open are many when the old one's gone under the knife. And I can feel the sun on my skin, beginning to thaw from within. Today is a good day to live.
Hi, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Juanita, my husband is Mark, and together we make up some more adventures. We love traveling in our self-converted luxury touring van that we camp in, and in the summer of 2022, we went to Alaska. It was the trip of a lifetime. Today I'm going to share with you how we planned that trip, some of the resources that we used for planning. In subsequent videos, we'll go over the clothing we took, and then we'll go over the supplies we took. At some point, we'll feature the cargo box we built so that we could take a generator with us. So, let's get started. The very first thing we did was purchase the milepost book, which we're going to go over a little bit later in this video. The next thing we did was to purchase this map here that you see. Then I took a dry erase marker and I mapped out the route that I thought that we were going to take when we went to Alaska. Of course, some of that didn't wind up happening, and we're going to go over that a little bit later on. The best advice to start with that I could tell you about going to Alaska and planning your trip to Alaska is to plan loosely. A lot of the campgrounds that we thought we were going to stay in, the number of miles that we thought we were going to drive per day just didn't happen for various reasons, and we're going to go over those a little bit later in this video. One of the things we like to use for trip planning is RV Trip Wizard. It is a program that you must pay for. It's $59 a year, but in our opinion, it is money well spent. Trip Wizard allows you to input your mileage into the tools section here. You tell it the minimum I want to drive is 100 miles. The maximum I want to drive is 300 miles, and then the in-between would be 200. So that's what these lines are. This would be the minimum that you input, your medium, and your maximum that you want to go. And then it'll show you your route and the campgrounds that are all along the way. All of these are campgrounds, and you can click on them and read more about the various camping opportunities. If we click on that, we can see that that's Buffalo Gap Grasslands, Nomadic View Dispersed Camping. We absolutely love this. It's up on the cliff, you overlook the Badlands. It's in a great location. It's just maybe 10 minutes from Wall, South Dakota. So we really do like that site if you're going this way. This stands for electric, this stands for water, this stands for sewer. There's various things, which of course it has no amenities at that dispersed camping site. It's highly rated. You've got 9.7 out of 10 stars, 43 reviews. Trip Wizard will tell you all of that information. If you like what you see, you can add it to your trip. If not, you just click out of it and go to the next one. And you can pick campgrounds all along the way to see what suits you, your rig, and your style. After choosing the campgrounds that we thought we would stay at, I created an Excel spreadsheet and put everything on the Excel spreadsheet because I wanted to calculate how many miles it would be, how much money we thought we would spend in gas, how much money we thought we would spend in campgrounds, and put it all on a spreadsheet of all of these campgrounds that we had identified that we thought we were going to stay at. We thought we would go so many miles a day. Some days we would go more than we thought. Some days we went less than we thought. That's a lot of the reason why we didn't wind up staying in the campgrounds that I had identified. Unless you have a 40-foot RV and you know you have to have a certain size site and you know you need water, sewer, electric, plan your trip loosely, especially if you have a van. Vans are so mobile, we can do so many more things than a big RV can. So plan your trip loosely and I think you'll have a lot more fun. The other resource we used was Google Maps. I would compare it with Trip Wizard sometimes. I would also go onto Google Maps, type in the campgrounds that I thought I liked, and see what the Google reviews were. So I didn't just take one source as gospel. I checked it out two ways. One thing I want to say about Google Maps is when you're on the Alaska Highway, in a lot of places you don't have cell service. You don't have internet, you don't have cell. If you're relying exclusively on your phone with Google Maps, you're not going to have maps unless you have downloaded them prior to leaving. I highly recommend that you get a Garmin GPS or something similar to that, because then you'll have a backup when your phone isn't working and you haven't downloaded the maps. Speaking of maps, maps are an essential planning tool for such a long trip. You don't know when you're going to have cell service and when you'll be able to upload a particular map that you want. So I highly recommend that you get maps. We did get this one, the Alaska map from alaska.org. You can purchase it from this website, alaska.org, for $2.99. We also highly recommend that you stop at the visitor centers and pick up maps. We did try to get some at gas stations and they were difficult to find. One of the maps that we found very, very helpful was this laminated British Columbia, Alberta map. I wasn't able to find one for the Yukon as well. You can stop at an information center and get a copy of the Yukon road map, and that'll be very helpful to you. You can purchase this laminated one online from Amazon. It is $7.95. They only have 7 left. Hurry up and order soon if you'd like to order one before you go, or you might be able to find one as we did in, I think, a gas station. Another helpful map that we found is the Bell's Travel Guide Alaska State Map. Of course, there's always the milepost map. It's a really good map to have. It pulls right out of the milepost book. I'll be talking about that milepost book in just a minute. It's a must-have if you're going to be driving the Alaska Highway. Another good resource is the Bell's Travel Guide Alaska Highway booklet. We really liked it. We found it to be out of date as far as some of the amenities, the campgrounds and the stores that are open. But the great thing that we found about it was that it does tell you where the parking areas are. And for us, as a travel van, we did a lot of boondocking in parking areas. As long as there's no sign saying you cannot stay there overnight, you can park in one of the pull-offs overnight. And this map was really, really helpful for that. Of course, the granddaddy of them all is the milepost book. They have maps of where you're going, the different routes, and these maps feature campgrounds along the way. They don't necessarily feature the pull-off dispersed camping along the way. You get that in the Bell's booklet I told you about a moment ago. But nonetheless, this does feature a lot of the campgrounds along the way, a lot of the sites that you're going to want to see. It tells you the mileage and the milepost numbers. This is a great resource. When we originally started planning our trip, we thought that we were going to be going up towards Fairbanks and over the Denali Highway over to Denali and then down and then into the peninsula. But the forest fires were really bad when we got to that area, and the smoke was settling down in the Fairbanks Valley. And we decided that that just wasn't going to work for us. We needed to be outside. We wanted to be outside, and they were telling people to stay indoors. So we altered our trip. And we spent a lot of time on the Kenai Peninsula, which is absolutely beautiful, breathtaking, just so much to see and do on the Kenai Peninsula. And one of the best maps that we found for that, even though we had the Alaska map with us, we picked this up at one of the visitor information centers. I can't remember which one, but it's the Kenai Peninsula Best Map. And undoubtedly, it truly was. It tells you about some things that you can see along the way. It shows you the roads that you can travel to get where you're going, all the little cities along the way, pull-offs. It was full of information, and I highly recommend that you pick one up. I don't know if you can find one ahead of time and order it, but it was a really helpful map for us. Next, I want to talk about some of the books that we purchased. Of course, the granddaddy of it all, as I said, is The Milepost. This book, it overwhelmed me when I first got it. I just didn't understand it. I didn't know how to use it. The best way to use this book is to just peruse through it before you go. But then when you go, if you have a co-pilot, have them keep it open on their lap and mile by mile look ahead, 20 kilometers or something like that. Read what it says. It'll tell you where wildlife are often spotted. It will tell you campsites, pull-offs, the history of areas that you're going through. It's a wonderful resource and I highly recommend it. Right now, you can purchase the 2022 version on Amazon for $31.99. It says it's available. The 2023 version, they say it's coming out March 1st. You could pay for it and it'll be delivered to you. We did this last year and honestly, it didn't come on the date that they said. It came about a month or even 5 weeks after the expected delivery date. When we first started talking about Alaska, my husband and I, was in 2019. So of course, the first thing we did was we bought the Milepost. Well, 3 years later, I thought, oh, I surely need a new Milepost. So I did order the new one, but we had gone through this one with a fine-tooth comb. And honestly, I can say there wasn't a whole lot different between the 2019 and the 2022. I thought there might be because of COVID and a lot of places closing. We just didn't find that to be the case. So if you want to get a copy of it right now and you don't want to wait for it, you can order the 2022 version from Amazon right now. I hate to profile something that you can no longer get, but we did buy the Alaska Camping book by Mike and Terry Church. Unfortunately, I have checked the Rolling Hills publishing site. It's defunct now. I've looked on Facebook and Mike and Terry have not made any posts since March of 2022. I did see a few used book websites that say they have copies of it. The other book that we did buy, thinking that this was going to help us with dispersed camping, was this Vanlife Alaska by Alexandra Van Steen and Frankie McCullough. It tells of their journey. It does give you a few tips along the way, and in the back they do give you some GPS points for places that they did disperse camp. It's a reasonably priced book, so if you think this will be helpful to you, then go ahead and make a purchase. Since it's very difficult to get this book, there's another resource you might want to try. If you're a person who likes paper books, you could try the Good Sam series campground guide. It does have Alaska campgrounds in it. I think this is the 2020 edition. You can buy the 2023 edition on Amazon for $39.95. It might be a good substitution for the Alaska camping book that you can no longer get. I highly recommend that you get yourself a bag, a box, whatever suits your style, and start collecting your reading materials and your map materials and keeping them in one place. You'll be glad you did. Another fabulous resource we used for planning our trip joining the Facebook group RVing to Alaska in 2022. It's now closed down, but they do have an RVing to Alaska 2023. You have to ask to join the group. It's an excellent resource because a lot of the people who are on it have already been to Alaska. You can ask questions of them. It's a fabulous, fabulous resource, and I highly recommend it if you're on Facebook. Well, that's it for this part of the planning stages. If you like this video, like, subscribe, and hit the little bell. And thanks so much for watching.
I mean, I feel like a mannequin.